The one thing I hear a lot, or one question I hear a lot, is when will I get over this dismissive avoidant? When will I stop thinking about them? When will I feel better? And there are some very specific things that need to happen so that you can let go, even though if you're watching this, you might not want to let go. You might be so consumed that you just want to get them back. But I always say the path to healing without someone is the same path to having them back. And that's because it is about you. It's not about them. So I want to give you some very specific information so that you can make these internal shifts and you can actually get on the path to healing. And if you're new here, I'm Ketra Thompson. And what I do with my clients is I combine several modalities: custom hypnotherapy, mind coaching, attachment style coaching, relationship coaching, so that we can cover all the bases and actually reframe the subconscious programming that's driving these patterns for you. So if you'd like to learn more, you can check out the link in the description below where you can set up a completely complimentary consultation call so that you and I can chat and I can make my best recommendation based on your specific story, your experiences, because everyone is unique. So you'll want to check that out. And as always, if this content resonates, I'd love it if you'd click like and subscribe so you can be notified every time I post a new video. So there's sort of two parts to this question I get. When will I get over this dismissive avoidant, and when will I find the right person? And they go hand in hand. And so the truth is that you get over a dismissive avoidant when your life is finally better without them, when you can take the focus off of them. And I know you've heard that probably 1,000 times if you're someone dealing with this and you just think, well, I just can't, I'm ruminating. But the rumination is about a subconscious belief. It's about what's going on under the surface. It's about the child you, the you that wanted to be chosen, the you that believes you need to be chosen. And so it keeps you in this loop because our subconscious mind has been programmed so early, primarily from birth to age 7. And then some other stuff can affect it after that too. But we get these belief systems that are really entrenched and they're ingrained in there. And so when your life is finally better without this person, it means you've come to some realizations. But it doesn't just happen by itself with you stuck there ruminating. It happens because you build something. You build something you love. And you sometimes don't even know what that's going to be or what it's going to look like. But in order to build a life that supports you, that's sustainable, you've got to step outside your comfort zone. You've got to get help and support wherever you need it. You've got to try things that you maybe aren't used to trying. And the thing that I think people don't actually talk about enough is that you need this very unique combination of downtime and fun. Like the coupling of fun downtime is sort of the magic key. We talk about downtime so that we can rest and rejuvenate, and that's great because oftentimes when we do that, we get a lot of clarity. And we talk about fun because we want newness and excitement in our life, but we don't realize that the combination of the two is actually sort of the magic key. So I want to give you an example. So a recent example for me is that I spent 2 weeks in Ireland. And during this 2 weeks, it was very, very busy. I was seeing all this stuff. We were traveling. My best friend and I were there and we were, on this tour. And the great thing about it was that even though we were quite busy, we didn't have to think about any of it. I didn't have to drive. I didn't have to plan. I didn't even have to look ahead. Every morning, I got out of my hotel and just hopped on this tour bus and everything was taken care of. Literally from the fact that they would pick up my suitcase at the door of my hotel room and load it for me, that someone else was driving all day, and that it was all pre-planned and scheduled and reservations were made. I had nothing that I had to do. And I didn't realize how amazing this combination really was. I've done sort of personal retreats where I've gone away on my own, rented like a VRBO on the lake, and it's been incredibly beneficial. And I've done sort of busy, fun vacations, but this combination of my nervous system and my brain being able to fully relax because there was nothing I had to figure out, nothing I had to do. I just showed up and they took me wherever I was supposed to go. And then everything was new and it was surprising and it was enjoyable because it's just the spark of newness. And so we'd see these things and get excited about them. And there wasn't any of the underlying stress. And so at the end of that 2 weeks, there was so many aha moments I had, so much clarity about all kinds of things in my life. And there was a very much a letting go of standards I had held for myself, of the rules I was following, of the home I was in. I literally got home, decided to move, decided to let go of some of the things I thought were super necessary in my life so that I could embrace something new, something different, something that fed my soul, even if I didn't know the details of what that was. And so this is a great example when it comes to moving past the dismissive avoidant as well. It doesn't always apply to that. It's a great thing no matter what phase of life you're in or no matter what you're dealing with. But the beauty of it is these kinds of moments help you reassess what's important, what's true, what's real. And you realize on a deeper level that some of the choices you were making before, whether it was some standard you were holding yourself to, or where you were living, or the person that you were hung up on, or whatever it was, you realize they're not actually making your life better. They're not actually making your life happier. And what you're doing if you're obsessing about some dismissive avoidant partner is that you are spending so much energy and focus trying to figure them out, trying to figure the relationship out, and it's distracting you from your own work. It's distracting you from how you're feeling and what your actual needs are. It's like overriding the system. And so you don't have any peace of mind, and therefore you can't get any clarity. You just stay in this ruminating loop. So the real answer to releasing that attachment and to welcoming in the right kind of person is actually the same answer. It's building something you love in your life. But that happens when you give yourself enough rest and relaxation coupled with healthy stimulation so that your mind comes back alive. Because when your mind is overwhelmed, it's not going to come up with new ideas. It's not going to reach a state of clarity or creativity or inspiration because it's just over functioning. And so when you really let go of everything, you totally, turn off the cell phones, detach, whatever it is, and then you couple that with some things that feel good, that feel fun, that feel new, that feel interesting, your brain has capacity to come alive again. Your brain has enough downtime of being able to fully set aside all of the other worries and the daily stress and just be present and engaging in the moment. And it's in those moments that ideas come to you, clarity comes to you, and you realize how great your life is, what you have done to create a beautiful life. And this is what I mean when I say you've got to step out of your comfort zone. You've got to quit putting off the things you want to do or try. You've got to quit kicking the can down the road. You've got to take charge of your life. And you actually have to take some actionable steps where you go, I'm just going to try this new thing. I am going to carve out this time. And even before I went on that trip, I was a little stressed. Oh, I'm going to be off work for 2 weeks, zero work. I was doing nothing. My assistant was taking care of whatever was possible for him to take care of. And I really checked out completely for the first time, fully in a very, very long time. And I felt the difference. And coupled with the stimulation of seeing new things, but not having to put any of the pressure of planning that was just an amazing combination. And so we've got to give our brain space to not only relax, not only rejuvenate, but to fully let go of overfunctioning and embrace the fun. Embracing fun is probably the big overlooked, missed thing in all of healing work. We talk about self-reflection. We talk about self-awareness. We talk about shifting patterns. All of that is super important. But creating fun is incredibly important. And that looks different for everyone. But even with yourself, it's going to look different every time. And fun is newness and intrigue and opens you up to a new way of thinking and being, and especially going someplace you really aren't used to going, different culture, different setting, all of that was, ultimate newness. And so the path really is to build up your own life. But you've got to quit making all the excuses as to why you're not going to do it and why you don't have time and why you don't have money and all these things. And they might be valid. So while you might not be able to take a 2-week trip to another country, you might be able to create fun in your own life. You can start choosing what influences your environment. Choose happy music to listen to. Move your body. Do that in a really playful way. Quit trying to be so grown up all the time. And notice the little things in the moments you're in. Notice how beautiful just a leaf, a simple leaf is, or the sunshine breaking through a cloud, or the smell in the air. Like, just let yourself come alive in the present moment that you're in, and that dials you in. It turns off the overthinking about the past, it turns off the overthinking about the future, and it gets you focused into the present moment where you can actually get some clarity. Now, the other piece about this is that we only have so much willpower. Our willpower is very limited. And so we try to do these new things, but over time it feels not sustainable because our willpower is pretty weak. And our subconscious mind is running over 95% of everything we think, feel, and do. And so because our willpower doesn't really have access to our subconscious mind to change that programming without excessive repetition, which it can't do because it doesn't have the bandwidth, it doesn't have the strength to do it, eventually our willpower sort of gives up. And we find ourselves going back to the old way of coping, the old way of being. And so it feels like it's really short-lived. And that is the real game changer in doing the deep hypnotherapy work, because this work is subconscious work, where we get into the subconscious mind, reframe those beliefs that are driving the unwanted feelings, the unwanted behaviors, the protective functions, all the things that went into your attachment style and have created these habits for you. We can reframe them so that you can actually step into your authenticity, which is not fixed. Your authentic self is always growing, evolving, changing. It should be, because the ones that aren't growing and changing are stuck in old programming. And the old programming is just going on loop, and they're getting more dug into that programming, but it's probably programming that they didn't put there in the beginning anyway. It was programming from their environment, but they just keep reiterating it, and those neural pathways for those beliefs get stronger and stronger and stronger, and they stay that way forever. And you see those people, they don't grow, they don't change, they don't take risk. They aren't actually becoming healthier or more expansive in their life. And that actually is sort of how most dismissive avoidants are. Now, there's some that do have certain areas of growth, but there's a lot that don't. And at the end of the day, that's not who you want to be, probably. If you're here watching a video, that means you want to grow, you want to learn, you want to heal, you want to feel good. And so why would you couple yourself to someone who isn't willing to do that? That's not going to work. And, there's that old saying, if you, have two ox together with the yoke, that wooden yoke that ties the oxen together when they would plow the fields. It's used in religious circles a lot, but it's, if one of those ox are dead and one's alive, who's going to end up being the more powerful one? It's the dead one, because eventually it's too heavy for the alive one to drag along. And so they get really weary and they collapse as well. So why would you pair yourself with someone who isn't willing to grow? You've got to put in the work in your life to do the things that feel good to you, and they might not feel good immediately, but your commitment to making that change and to pouring into yourself will pay off. And especially if you do the subconscious work, because then you're going to get those roadblocks, those mental roadblocks out of the way, and you're not going to be tripping over them over and over and over and over. So I hope that was helpful. I hope it was inspiring so that you can think of some ideas that, what do I want to try? What do I want to do? What's something small I can do every day that shifts my focus? Because when you finally love your life, when you finally love you, when you feel really good, that is when you're so much more energetically open and receptive. And it's really the point where you go, I don't need that anymore. I mean, not in this angry way of like, oh, all men are this way, or all women are this way, or forget about them, I don't need them. It's not that. It's, I'm good. I love my life. I feel good. I feel happy. And I'm okay without someone. That's when you're energetically open and ready for the right kind of person to come into your life. So I hope that was helpful. And again, if you would like more help, please set up the complimentary consultation call so you and I can chat. And of course, if this resonates, I do really appreciate it if you can click like and subscribe. And until next time, I hope you curate a life by your own design.